Now we will start. And today we're gonna go over about the item data management, which is a system that the supplier needs to onboard your items in IDM before they can be ordered or before they can be shipped to the US. So it's really important for suppliers to make sure they finish their IDM onboarding on time. So basically, we're going to talk about the IDM a little bit to give you a brief introduction of how it works, what's the position of the IDM in the whole supply chain process. And then we're going to demonstrate within the system to show you how to onboard your item. And during that time, we'll let you know and some helpful tips and those key points where a lot of suppliers have made mistakes before. So, and at the end, we're gonna mention a few like special occasions, like if you fit into that situation, you will need to pay attention to. Okay, so let's first start with the overview. So IDM is basically information system where supplier and Home Depot are using to manage the product data. So what suppliers need to do is basically to fill in the product information within IDM, and Home Depot will review it and make sure its accuracy, and then use a lot of those information to create a profile of your product online. And that way, either the customer will be able to view them online, and also they will be able to place orders and the items will be shipped to the consumer. So in general, the IDM data are used for, the first one is SKU creation. So a lot of you probably have already done Flex. And so IDM is the next step of Flex. IDM requires a little bit more product information. So once you finish your IDM and submit the item for review process, the item will go through the internal review, which is held by the Home Depot. Then after the review is complete, GOM will be able to help you guys to set up SKUs and be able to move forward with orders and stuff. The second one is containerization. So for import suppliers, when you ship your items, they are grabbing the package dimension from IDM. So that's a very important point, that you need to make sure you have accurate package dimension in IDM. So the third and the fourth are more for Home Depot side. We will use the information you input in IDM to help display your items in the store and also display your items online. So this is a brief some samples of how your items will look online, and how your items will, when you can containerize your items, they will grab your package dimension directly from IDM. So you need to have accurate data there. So we will talk a little bit more about the package dimension later. So when you input the data into IDM, please make sure it's complete and accurate, because it's going to be used in multiple channels. So, yep. So before we demonstrate how to use IDM, the first thing is you will need to have the access to IDM. I think if you have been doing Flex at the moment, I think you already have access to Home Depot link, right? So once you complete your SBA, you will receive a new account, which we see as the official account. That official account will come with the access with a lot of applications, which including IDM. So once you receive that email, you can follow a guide to into your partner profile to edit your account access, and also you will be able to get new accounts for your team members and manage the access for their account as well. So this is the steps of logging in IDM. So usually you log into Home Depot link first. Then within the Home Depot link, you will see application. Under the application, you will see item management, which is called item data management. And once you click the open, you will be directed to the IDM login page. Then you input the same username and password of your Home Depot link account. Then you will be logged into IDM. So this is a login process. Any questions so far?
Unmuted.
No further. We will move forward. So few more additional things before we move forward to the system demonstration. So the IDM is only used the THD website. So the second one is integrated with Flex and container. So the data will flow. So if the data will flow into IDM from Flex, that action will be taken by the GOM, and the containerization tool will grab the packet dimension automatically from IDM. And the homedepot.com website will also grab the information from IDM as well. Since we are all new suppliers here, there are no repeated items. But in the future, if you do, you can follow the steps, and we can also help out if you have any questions. So next, we're going to talk about how to onboard your items in IDM. I'm going to briefly go through the process here through the PowerPoint, and then we will go to like the actual system and to show you an example of what you need to do and what's the process and what's the steps. So basically, once your items are pushed by GOM from Flex into IDM, the first step is usually PLM import brand items, that workflow, and that's what we call initiating stage, where just suppliers need to review some key informations like UPC, G10 stuff before they, start enriching the item. The second step, what we call is called the populate attribute data. Basically, this step is to enrich your item data. You need to prepare your product introduction, product features. You need to, fill in all the attributes of the different features like colors, shape, and materials. And enrich item for supply chain where you need to input your package dimension data. The third step is optional, and it's required for certain items. If your item is a hazmat item, which will be required to register at the WERCS, and it's a third-party website, and you need to work with them. But if your item is not a hazmat item, you will not be required to go through this step. So this is a workflow chart, basically, of how items coming from Flex goes into IDM. So the first part of IDM is what the suppliers need to do. The first step is to initiate the item, then enrich the data, and submit. After you submit, system will review to see if the item is a hazmat item or not. If it's not a hazmat item, it will just go straight to review process. And if this item, once the review process complete, if it's approved and nothing wrong, and we like the internal team finds out they didn't find anything wrong during the review process, the item will be moving into existing status, and GOM and the other team will be able to help with the SKU setup and maintenance, and then you will be able to do the containerization, CPO, and ship your product. Okay, so now we move on to the the system demonstration. So this is basically what IDM looks like. So we have navigation panel on the left and the content area on the right. So usually when you first get into IDM, you will be able to see a lot of like your action required. If you see numbers here, which means you still have items in your workflow you haven't complete or submitted out, and you can take the shortcut, just click those numbers and go into the workflow. And also you can use the traditional way to go to the navigation panel and go to each workflow to work on your items. So most of you suppliers here joining the webinar today, you will start from the import new item, PLM import brand item. This will be your first step to initiate your items. So what you need to do is click on the number, then you will get a list of your items that will need to be onboarded. And the first step is to click any items you want to work on, click the OMS ID. By the way, OMS ID is the item ID that we use in IDM. So whenever you have a question with any items, you can just let us know the OMS ID, and then we will know which product you're talking about. Okay. So once you click on the OMS ID, you will be lead into this panel where you can see their product names, manufacturer model number, G10, private brand, is Home Depot the import of record, and question like this. So the first thing you need to do is not to fill in information, is to, the first step, please make sure the first step is to change your product category. Because when your item is pushed into IDM, they're not categorized. And what you need to do is to click on the change product category. There, you can see there are a lot of categories here. What you need to do is find the one fits your product the most. Expand the category order until the very end, until there's no folder, child folder on these. Oh, sorry. Can you see the screen now? I think one of the sync button was stuck. Can you see my screen? Oops. Okay. Yeah. I will start from the. So sorry about that. I think the network or something that might happen. Thank you for pointing it out. Otherwise, I won't be able to know. So yeah, before that, I think all the instructions things we don't have to go through again, because you probably will receive the PowerPoint later, and you can go through them by yourself. And we will restart from here. So if you the way to log IDM is to log in Home Depot first, And then under the application tab, you can see item data management, and you click open. Then you will be lead into the Home Depot IDM login page. And as we said, because I think a lot of you have complete your flex at the moment. So once your flex is complete, GOM will push your item from flex into IDM. So then this part is where IDM, your action and Home Depot's action will put into. So from your side, you will need to initiate your item to enrich your item. Then depends on whether your item is a hazmat item or not. You will be required to register for WRSS or not. Then after you submit your items, they will go through the review process. If nothing wrong found out during the review process, your item will be approved and they will be moving into the existing status. And then you will, the items will be ready for SKU setup and also be ready for PO, place orders, and generation. So now we jump back to the system demonstration. So as we said earlier, this is the IDM portal. So you can see the navigation panel from the left on the left side and the information panel on the right side. So you can see there are a lot of functions we offer, but if for new suppliers, what you need to use the most is basically the onboard new item and populate attribute item, or popular attribute data, and the WERCS certification items. So the first step, as a lot of your items are pushed from Flex, your first step will be within the onboard new item, the PLM import brand items. And if once you go and gets into IDM, you will see a number here, which means you have here you have 6 items in this workflow that you need to work on. Our dashboard differs. Yeah. So it's different. This is our test environment. So you can see there are a lot of items here. What you see on your dashboard will be different because you only have your items in your IDM. Does that make sense? Because if you are only doing 6 items with Home Depot, your IDM account will only have 6 items, and they will be in different workflows. Good? Okay, we'll move forward then. So the first step will be PLM import brand items. Slide bar on the tip. Are you in, are you in IDM portal? If you see different navigation bar on the left, I have questions. You might not be in IDM, you might in other systems. Are you talking about Flex? Flex is another system where you need to put in your information. We're trying to show you how to work on IDM. I think I will keep moving forward as we are on a schedule. But if you do see a different screen, I don't think you will see a different screen. But if you do think you are in IDM but you are seeing something different, please let me know. Send me a screenshot. Yeah, I will help work on it. Okay, So moving on, the first step will be flex the PLM import brand items. After you click on your item, you will see this like portal panel. You can, the first thing, as we mentioned earlier, you need to do is change your product category, because when your items are pushed from Flex into IDM, they're not categorized. And what you need to do is to choose the category that fits your product the most. Expand the folder until there is no, no folder underneath. Like if I choose this one, I click OK, and it will tell me my items have been moved to the category I wanted. So this is categorizing your item. So once you categorize your item, you will need to input your product name, model number, G10, all this information. For the record, a lot of suppliers made the mistake by not following the naming formula here. So what you need when you name your product in IDM, what you need to do is to follow this example to name your product. So we have a formula here. Basically, what's in the square bracket is required, and the other bracket are optional. So in this one, the packaging capacity or weight is required. The beverage type is also required, but the flavor, the series, if you have the attribute, you can mention it in the product name. If you don't, you can leave it out. I think you are talking about the different system. So IDM. So I think a lot of you might still have you complete your SBA? So we said earlier. Let me pull that out. So if you haven't got your IDM access yet, you will when your SBA is complete, and you will receive an account, like an official Home Depot link account. That account will have access to Home Depot link, will have access to IDM, and you will be able to log in IDM and see this. Does that help? Okay, let's move forward. So a lot of information, as you can see, are just what it means by the attribute name. So manufacturer model number, G10. G10 for the item is usually UPC with 20 in the front. The proprietary brand name, if you have one, choose one. If you don't, choose an A. Oh, so you have sent, so if the SBA is still in process, you will not have that to IDM. The training was asked to provide to you before the onboarding started. So I think at the moment, if you do not have the access, we just need to wait until the SBA complete. But at the same time, our team requested us to give you the training so you can get prepared and be ready when you can work on the IDM onboarding. Okay. So fill in the information. So I want you to know during the process, if you have any questions during attributes first, you can move your mouse over, and there will be a information on. You can click on. Then it will give you a detailed explanation of what the attribute is, and give you a guide and maybe an idea how to fill in that attribute. But if you still don't know what how to fill in, or you're not sure, you can reach out to me and I will help explain more. But I will try to make sure I cover as much as I can during this webinar, but there are some basic, like really easy attributes. I'm not going to just go through one by one. So within this stage, the first I want to remind again is the first thing is to change the product category. Once you categorize the item, make sure your product name follows the naming standard up here, and then fill in the rest of information. Then you will be able to save and submit this item out from this stage. What I want to point out at the end for this workflow is these two questions. So the first one, will customer Home Depot receive multiple box when ordering a single sellable item? So most of the case, you will choose no, but I want to explain what the question is meaning for multiple box. So if a single sellable unit is shipped in given, okay, so if you want another example of the product name, so I will choose a different category. So whenever you choose the category, you choose the, and expand the folder, click on the arrow until there are no folder underneath. So I choose this category. You can see the naming standard will change. So if I clear this out, so the attributes within the square bracket are required. So here for series, I don't have to input anything if I don't want to. So the next thing comes up is the width of the product. So if it's 20, I assume it's a 20-inch LED. If it's a LED, I will assume it is. If it's not, I can leave it out. This attribute is optional. So I assume it is LED. So this bracket, you see there are two quotation and two words that's in quotation. So this means we need to choose between outdoor or outdoor. So assume this is an indoor outdoor fan, and you can choose outdoor if it fits. So this is really choosing between one of them. And the color finish, you can see this is square bracket, so it's a required one. So assume it's a red. And then ceiling fan, you see this ceiling fan is in quotation marks. So what you need to do is just simply copy what's in there. So this will be the perfect product name, and it will not give you like an error during the review process. Yes, the product name in IDM will be different from the Flex. The reason is the product name in IDM will be displayed online, so it requires a little bit more information to give the customer more information on what the product is. Because online performance, the product name be more detailed can be really affecting the sales and the performance. I hope. So, yep. Everyone good with the product name? Yes. The square bracket are required, must. The the other bracket, the pointy one brackets are optional. So you don't have to if you don't have that attributes or you feel like it's not a good attribute that includes in your name. And but yeah, you're correct. The square bracket are must and required. Okay, moving forward. So we want to make sure you understand these two attributes, these two questions, because a lot of suppliers confuse them all the time. So the first one, will customer receive multiple box when ordering this single sellable item? So I would give you an example. So if I have a patio furniture, which contains a table and 2 chairs, but when I ship this item, this patio furniture to Home Depot, I will put the table in one box and the 2 chairs in another box. But these 2 boxes are like a single sellable item. So in that case, we call it a multi-box item. And then we need to choose Y for this question. But usually most of the case, supplier will ship their items in one box and pack like a lot of like 20, 50 bucks in one master shipper, the bigger cartoon box. In that case, please choose no. And for this one, at the moment, if you're onboarding your new items, this should be no. But just for information, in the future, if you have 2 sellable items, just like, for example, you have a sellable item A and sellable item B, but you want to create a bundle or combo that contains A and B together and sell them as a unit to consumer. In that case, you will create a third item that represents the A plus B. And for the third item, that question should be Y. But at the moment, I think all the suppliers here are onboarding their new items. So this question should be no. And what you need to worry about is when you ship the item, is the single sellable item packed in one box or 2 separate boxes? So yeah, that's the first step. Everyone good? No, if no further question, make sure you fill in all the information correctly, then you can click save and submit. Once you submit this item out from this workflow, you will be the item will goes into the next step, which is populate attribute data. Within the populate attribute data, there are 2 workflows you need to work on. One of them is called enrich item, and the other one is called enrich item for supply chain. Enrich item is where you put your the product information, like product introduction, product features, then upload images. Oh, import of record. So most of you, I assume import of record should be Y because you import your stuff to you export. Yeah. Home Depot import yours from your factory locations and then sell them to US consumers. So at this point, I think you should choose Y for this attribute. Unless you have really special, like, cases, for most of the importers, this should be Y. Okay, move forward. The second step, which includes 2 workflows, one of them is enrich items. Within this enrich item workflow, basically you need to fill in 4 parts of information. Let me show you one. So there are 4 tabs, what we call it 4 tabs you need to put information in. Some of them may already pre-fill by the data coming from Flex, or they have default. What you need to do is review them if they have already been filled in and make sure they're accurate, then fill in the missing part. So within this workflow, you will need to input data in the call attribute, marketing, WESA certification, and image and digital assets. So call attributes are a lot of attributes that's, like for supply chain use and to tell Home Depot, tell everyone that this item is to, whether it's shipping, whether it's selling through HomeDepot.com or whether it's selling in the Home Depot store and those kind of information. So marketing is where you input the, product introduction, product features, and choose, the colors, the shapes. So all this information will be displayed online later. WSS, all under this tab is just simple 10 quick questions about your items. You will need to choose yes or no based on your item. Then the system will, review all this information and determine whether your item is a hazmat item or not. This part is more related to the third step. If your item is a hazmat item, you will need to go through the registration process. But if your item is not a hazmat item, the second, if your item is not a hazmat item, you will not be required to go through the registration. So the fourth tab is the image and digital assets tab. This is where you upload your product image, your digital assets, and the manual user instruction, assembly guide, installation guide, anything that you can offer to the consumer, you can upload them here. Okay, so now we will go through all four tabs one by one. We will cover as much as possible to point out where usually suppliers are confused about, or where usually suppliers have questions too. So here you can see all the attributes with the red star mark. It means that attributes is required. It's kind of like the square bracket. So if you see a red star on it, that attributes is required. Product name, GTN, UPC, all this information you have filled in the previous steps. MFG model number, MFG part number. These are the identification number that suppliers can use to identify their product. A lot of suppliers don't know what MFG part number should be. So for example, like if a supplier has a product A, but it comes in different sizes, suppliers have a model number for the product A in general, but for different sizes, they have, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 as my model number, but I do have a different size, like small, medium, large. Part number is just more specific, more detailed model number. They can be exactly the same, which is totally fine. It's just we offer this for suppliers to use them to to better manage their product. So the brand name, MFG brand name, this is a manufacturer brand name, and MFG name is the manufacturer name. How about a set of table and 2 benches? Are you talking about the product name or the model number? So I think you're asking about the model number. So if you do, the model number is for the whole unit, the sellable unit. If you are a set of patio furniture, the table and the 2 benches are together. They are selling as one unit. They will have one model number, if that's what you're asking about. Brand name, manufacturer name, all this, just fill in what you have. And you can see a lot of attributes that's in gray color. That means they cannot be added. If you see anything wrong for that, please let us know and we can help you make sure. Okay. So I was talking about the model number, part number are basically the same thing. They can be the same. Part number is a more detailed number that you can use to help identify. I gave an example, like if I have a table that has a number for 1, 2, 3, 5, but it comes in different sizes, and I want to know from the part number what size it is. I can add an S to it. I can add a large to it. You know, it's a more detailed model number, kind of. Part number is. They can be the same if you want to. It just, we use this to work with suppliers to identify them, because sometimes suppliers, their workers have a better idea on, like, you know, when they see 1, 2, 3, 5, they know, oh, this is one of our tables. And if they see 1, 2, 3, 5 of M, they know, oh, this is the model number for the, you know, the medium sized table 1, 2, 3, 5. They can be exactly the same. Manufacturer model number are, you know, suppliers, you define them. You can, this is basically product ID if you want to use them. You know, a lot of them have SKD something. This is the model number is created by suppliers, so you have them. Okay, I will just keep moving until you have more questions. MFG model number. Model number is the model number of your product. Some supplier call them, you know, supplier calls them different things, and they might have a different ID for that product. So it's really what you use to identify your product. That's it. It's a unique model number. You can check here for, you know, more information. But the model, again, the model number is created by suppliers. Okay, moving on to the channel part. This is where you need to know. So when you sign the SBA or when you communicate with Home Depot, you will know if your item is going to be sold in store or your item will be sellable online. So if your item is sellable in store, you will choose yes for this question. And if your item is not sellable online, choose no. On the other hand, if your item is actually sellable on HomeDepot.com, choose Y. So the question here, the answers for these questions are really flexible based on how you sell your items with Home Depot. You choose different channels. Okay, so again, if you see a red star, so the first 2 questions are required, the other one are optional. So if you don't think you're shipping through this, you can just leave them out. Child safety and protection. All these questions, you can just answer them based on how your product is. Healthy and air quality, it's the same. And the item classification. So here, usually these attributes automatically populated, so you don't have to fill in or change anything. Item status, you're onboarding new items. Please make sure discontinued items are empty. This is the new version of existing item. So if you are shipping, if you're onboarding brand new items, this should be no. Pricing and cost. This is what we need to go through is initial online cost is your FOB cost. Basically, what's the cost that Home Depot is buying from you. Initial market retail pricing. This is what we call suggested online price. It's usually double or triple the price of the FOB cost. Next, product composition is talking. This is about what's within your product. So you just need to answer the question based on your product, and nothing special. Shipping and logistics. So if your items are sellable on HomeDepot.com, you will be required to answer a little bit more questions. But if your item is not sellable on HomeDepot.com, you will see you only need to answer can this item be shipped anywhere in the US? Usually it's yes. Country of origin name, choose your country of origin name. Import of record, we choose Y. Sell package quantity and sell UOM. These two are combined together. So let's say some of the suppliers just had a question earlier about a set of items. Like just for example, if we have a set of patio furniture, it's a table and 2 chairs. I can say the sell packet quantity is 1, and I can say it's 1 box, or maybe 2 box if you put the chairs and the table in different boxes. And also, if I can also say I'm selling 1 set, it's a set of patio furniture. So these two are combined together so based on what the unit of measurement you choose, you need to fill in the sell packet quantity accordingly. However, if your item is shipping through Home Depot, it's sellable on HomeDepot.com, you will be required to put in a little bit extra details. So .com ship from states, if you don't know, please choose then .none. Number of boxes shipped to consumer. This is what we talked about. So if your single sellable unit is in multiple box, please type the number of how many boxes of your the sellable unit. If you only have 1, just put 1 in there. So ship from YOW and CHUB. YOW means your other warehouse, means you ship your product to Home Depot. Then Home Depot help distribute the items, the products to consumer. CHUB means Commerce Hub, which requires you have warehouse in the US. And this shipping method means you ship your items to your US warehouse. And when you receive the orders from consumer, you will need to ship them to the consumer. So usually the field is pre-populated with CHUB, but if you are shipping from YOW, please make sure you choose YOW as your shipping method. And one more thing about the freight class. Freight class is a class level where basically measuring how to ship your product. There is a website where you can calculate this value based on your package dimension and gross weight, and you will choose the one closest. You will get a number after you calculate, then you choose the number that matches your products. And then this is the first tab. Any question for this tab? If no, we will move forward. Make sure when you move on to the next page, click Save. Okay, moving on to next, marketing. Marketing, as we said, marketing is where you put in your item instruction, features, and all those stuff. We will give you an example of marketing copy for each items, and you can take the map reference. But marketing copy is, as you can see, it requires three complete sentences. And you can, see a question. If we sell per set in 2 boxes. Okay, so as you mentioned, if you are selling by set, so I think you're selling by 1 set each. So you will put 1 set here, but you said you have how many boxes? Let me see. You said in 2 boxes, so the number of boxes shipped to consumer should be 2. So basically, this is how it goes. Does that help? Oh, so if you 3 last field. Before I explain the 3 last field, I will bring this up again. So I assume if you ask a question, I assume you are shipping multiple boxes. So for the item that you ship in 2 boxes, please make sure you mark this question as Y. Okay, because that way we know it's a multi-box item, and it will be a little bit different when we input the data for supply chain. So, okay, let's move forward. Oh, I'm gonna stop really quick for sorry, I think we need a little bit more time, so I prolong my meeting. Okay, moving on. I think you mentioned the last 3 attributes, right? Okay, let's see. We have to mark this item as, so if your item is sellable on Nebo.com, then it will be required to input the attributes. So the last 3 attributes, so we'll start on the bottom, and the freight class is a class level that helps with the shipping condition. So there is a website here. You can simply copy and paste to the internet browser. It will give you a calculator. Basically, you need to put in your product dimension here and put in your weight. Then you can get a freight density. And based on your density, you can get a freight class number, and that's what you need to put into your, put in IDM. So this is the freight class. So shift from YOW and CHUB, again, I think I will bring out the PowerPoints. So as I explained earlier, YOW means your other warehouse. Is short for your other warehouse. YOW means supplier ship the product to Home Depot, then Home Depot ship the product to end consumer. CHUB is short for Commerce Hub. It means supplier ship the product to your US warehouse, and when you receive the order, you will ship to the consumer directly. So for most of the import suppliers, we think you are shipping through YOW, but if you are drop ship your items, you will need to choose CHUB, and that way you will manage your own inventory through Commerce Hub. Does that answer your question? The last 3 attributes. So the vendor turn time is usually on your SBA. So you input whatever. Usually it's already pre-populated, so you don't have to fill in. Okay. Any more questions on this page? On the call attributes? UOM means unit of measurement. Unit of measurement. So yeah, it's just like one bag, one pack, one set, 2 boxes. Those box set, all those things are the unit of measurement. This attribute is associated with the sale pack quantity. Okay, moving on to the marketing. We talked about the marketing copy. So we will give you an example. You can see it requires at least 3 complete sentences. Please make sure you have more than 3 complete, at least 3 complete sentences. Otherwise, your item will be rejected. Okay. So all the information within this tab will be displayed online. So also please make sure it's accuracy. And for the bullets, for the marketing bullets, is 1 short sentences or even just few words to describe a feature of your products. And what you need to pay attention to is the number of required bullets here. If it says 6, you will need to fill in at least 6. You can see there are only 4. The first 4 are highlighted with the red mark, which means the first 4 required. So 4 bullets are the minimum requirements, but different categories have different requirements. So some of them may require 6 or even more, but we will show the numbers here. So you just need to fill in that many bullets based on this number. So for category specific, each category will be different, so I'm not gonna go through them, but all these attributes are the product attributes. So you just need to fill in them based on what your product is, and it's pretty straightforward. And some of them are they give you options to choose, and some of them are typing text stuff. So yeah, marketing is usually easier, and what I suggest supplier to do is to get this part of information ready, because if you have time now and you can get this marketing copy or bullet information ready before you start IDM, it will be really helpful, because a lot of time suppliers onboard their items, they do not have this prepared. They have to come up this information while onboarding it. So if you have the time, make sure you prepare them, and and then once you start onboarding, you can just copy paste from what you have prepared. Any question on marketing tab? If not, I'll keep going. So for WSS certification tab, just 10 questions. I think 10-ish questions. So what you need to do is answer them yes or no. Then our system will determine whether your item is a hazmat item or not. Marketing's purpose is to show your product online. So if you have better information written here, your item will look better on HomeDepot.com. Let me show you an example. So like any other e-commerce website, I will just choose a random product. So as you can see, this is the product name you input in IDM. This is the marketing copy you wrote, and this is the bullet points. And this is any digital assets you upload in IDM, and this is the product image you upload in IDM. So under here, this is all the category specific attributes that's going to be listed here. So all the marketing information you fill in here will be displayed online. So what we encourage suppliers to do is have better contents. So if you fill in them here better, your item will have a better, outcome and better look on the Home Depot website, which might be more appealing to the consumer. Oh, the product specifications. So within the marketing tab, you can see there are 2 parts. One is marketing attributes, and one is category specific. Category specific is the specific specs you talked about, which is going to be listed like this. The marketing copy and marketing bullet will be listed under the product overview, kind of like a introduction and features introduction. Okay, let me see what's your question. If your product is outdoor product, it doesn't matter what your product is. What you need to do for the marketing here is simply to introduce to the consumer what product is. And based on the category, we will give you an example so you can, see how, a standard way of introducing your product. And you can see, and also we have a data standard. It's a PDF file which includes several examples of how, the feature should be written or how the marketing copy should be written. You can refer to that and come up yours that fits your product. So the content really depends on what your product is. So you just basically describe your product to the consumer. That's it. Okay. Any more questions to the marketing tab? If not, we move forward. The WSS we just said, it's just questions you fill in yes or no based on product. That's it. Image and digital assets. So within this tab, there is nothing marked with the red star mark. So it doesn't mean everything is optional. What you need to see is what you need to check first is the required asset list. Whatever that's listed here is the required item. So here you only see product image. So here the minimum requirements for you is to upload a product image, and let me find out. We have a minimum requirement for the product image is 1K pixel with 1K pixel and white background. So if you see any other attribute that's listed here as a required assets, you will need to upload them before you can submit. Okay, so until here, we're done with the first enrich part, the enrich item. So basically you need to fill in these 4 tabs. That's it. And we have tried to cover as much as possible where suppliers are confused about. And if you still have any questions while filling those out, please let me know. I will be able to help. So onboarding data standard, I'm going to show you one example. It's a PDF file. It has a lot of useful information. So when you open it, you can see there are red, highlighted on the top. This is the category that this file applies to. So for all the light bulbs category listed under here is you can refer to this PDF file for details. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see there are product naming standard examples for your reference. Then there are marketing copy examples. There are also features examples you refer to. And there are also, image requirements you can check. So yeah, this is more like a reference guide for you while onboarding. So this first tab is a newly function. So there are instructions. What instructions are you talking? Are you talking about the product instruction or the instruction of onboarding IDM? This PDF. Oh, this PDF is more like a product information reference. So when you fill in the information within IDM, like you need to, for example, a lot of suppliers want an example for marketing copy because they don't know how or what to write. So we give you an example. And for the image, we give you the reference, like what background color we want, what's the minimum size of the picture we need, and all those kind of information. It's included in here. Yeah, it's just a list of like a requirement or reference or examples for you to check out. It's not an instruction. Okay, so copy from existing item. This is a no. So each category will have a different PDF file. So if you know your category, I can help you get one, but you will be able to download it yourself once you have the access to IDM. So at this moment, I'm unless you're giving me a specific category, otherwise there are so many PDF like reference PDFs because they have one for like every several categories. Okay, so after you fill in all 4 tabs, you are basically done with the first step, the first enrich items. So once again, during the enrich process, during this process, you can still change the product category. If you find anything that's not fitting your product, you can still change the product category here. So if you fill in all 4 tabs and with everything you need, you can click save and submit, then your item will be submitted. But if you have attributes that's not filled in but also required, you will be popped up by this arrow saying you have mandatory attributes that's missing and you need to fill in them before you can submit. Okay, so everyone good with enrich? If so, we will move forward with the enrich item for supply chain. Okay, so here's the thing. So I think some of you suppliers here might ship multiple box items, which we talked about a little earlier. Is like if you ship your like one sellable unit in 2 or 3 or even more boxes, make sure you choose the question as why in the first step. Make sure you choose why. If you fit in that situation, you choose why here, then save and submit. So once you submit from, if you are ship multiple box from the and you save and submit like this from the first step, your item will goes into the enriched multiple box item for supply chain instead of the regular enriched item for supply chain. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about how to, fill in the supply chain data. So no matter whether you ship multiple boxes or just you ship like regular boxes, it's the same details you need to fill in. So I'm gonna bring up. Okay, I'm gonna explain this first. This is what we call our shipping hierarchies. So when you ship your item, there are 4 available hierarchies to choose. Usually EA means each. It represents the sellable, like the minimum, like the smallest sellable unit. Here, as you can see, it's a pen. The PK means pack. It's inner box level. Not a lot of suppliers has it, but if you have it, you need to have a pack PK hierarchy. Case CA means case. It's master carton level. It's like the most of the supplier have this level. PL stands for pallet. This is the pallet level. So I think a lot of you have filled in similar attributes within Flex. And all those information will be pushed into IDM. What you need to do is to enrich, review, and make sure all that data are accurate, and then submit. Okay, so next step, we're going to talk about the regular supply chain enrich first. Then we will talk about the multiple box supply chain enrich, since we do have suppliers in that case. So click on the item you want to work on. So within the supply chain tab, so for enrich item supply chain, this workflow, you only have one tab where you need to input your information. So for this example, you see there is several icons on the top of it. If we read it this way, it means we have a sellable unit and we're shipping it a master carton where there are 6 each in every case level. And we have 2 different pallet level. That's, this pallet contains 105 boxes case on top. And this pallet includes 24 pallet on top, 24 cases on top. So these are the number of this level, how many preceding level this pallet level has. This 6 means how many each this case has. So you just need to briefly go through and check if the number is correct. You can also see the number here, which is pre-populated when your item is pushed from Flex. So what you need to do is make sure this is all right. So I wouldn't say you have 2 pallets. So I will remove this. Let me find a better example to demonstrate. So, okay, I got a question. Can you give me an example? Okay, 1 set and 2 box. This will be covered in the second part. We're going through the, the regular items. So if your item is shipped in 1 box and then, let me find a bag. I'm demonstrating the regular item, which is like one single sellable unit is packed in 1 box. I will demonstrate an example of yours later. Okay. So I guess we have to create a one. Oh, this is better. Okay. Assuming we are only looking at the top, the 12 case and the 65 pallet. So this means we have a case level where each case includes 12 each and a pallet includes 65 case. So if you highlight this part, if you see they are in darker color, they're highlighted. So you can see there are 3 columns underneath, and this is where we need to key in the information. So the top part, you don't have to input anything. Everything is pre-populated. You just need to verify the quantity is correct. G10 number, we talked about this earlier. So basically the G10 and barcode for EL level is your UPC with 2 0 in front. I think this information you have already inputted in your Flex. So I assume you already know how to generate G10 barcode. For those you don't know, I will show an example. We have a Word document where if you don't know how to create G10 based on your UPC, we have a Word document we can send to you and basically help you, understood how to create G10. I'm going to demonstrate one here just for your reference. So basically, if you have your G10, if you have your UPC here, let me copy that. Okay. I will copy the website. There is a website usually where you apply your UPC or GONet. It's called the GS1. They have a Yep, it's here. So this is a G10 calculator. So for example, I have my UPC ready. Usually when you calculate G10 for your either your case level or your palette level, you will have an indicator that's from 1 to 8. So let me show you the table here. Okay, so basically the G10 is the G10 has 3 parts. The first digit is the indicator, what we call indicator digit. This is usually what supplier choose by themselves. The indicator digit for your each level is usually 0, but for PK case palette, you can choose any digit from 1 to 8. So basically, what this means, if you see a 5, it means it's your case level. If you see a 2, it's your PK level. If you see a 7, it's your palette level. If your UPC is 12 digit, you will need to add an additional 0. So assuming you already know what your the first digit, the indicator digit is, I will take 3 as an example. If 3 represents case level in my company, I will use 3 at the first digit, then add an additional 0, then the last 12 digits is my UPC. So I input all them here, delete the last digit, and then click calculate, and it will calculate my last digit for me, and I will copy this key, and this whole 14 digits will be my G10 for my case level. Okay, so yep, I hope this helps with your G10 creation, because a lot of suppliers don't know what to do with how to create G10. So for each hierarchy, so you can see the G10 are populated. What you need to make sure is the barcode for each level is the same as its G10. So basically you need to copy this to here, this to here, this to here, and you need to make sure all 3 levels have different G10s. UPC is only required for sellable unit. So in most cases, your case or your palette won't be sellable, so you don't need to input UPC for them. The same works for manufacturer model name. So floor loaded is usually means for like a large appliance, and it means like can this box be put on the floor directly. And the next is packet dimension. So for packet dimension, this is where suppliers need to pay the most attention to, is because this dimension will be used for containerization later. So its accuracy is really important. But I think based on how you measure it, its depth, height, and width. So you just put your measurement here, make sure it's accurate. That's it. There is an additional question asking, is this item nestable? So any like this kind of chairs, or you have planner, you have a bucket. So those kind of things that can nest it with each other. They can put one on top of another, and the total height will be like only like really just increase a little bit, not like 2 boxes lay on top of each other. That's the height of 2 boxes will be double the height of 1 boxes. But for product like this, or planner, or box, buckets, those kind of things, what we call nested, those can be put on top of each other, and the total height will be the height of 1 and added with the increment of each item. So if your item is not nestable, please choose N. Then you don't need to input the nested increment. So the attributes within the supply chain enrich is really easy, but the thing is, a lot of suppliers at the first time they're not sure what the attribute they need to input or not. So what I say is still make sure what I mentioned earlier, the G10 barcode, the packet dimension is your item nestable. All these attributes are, you better check and make sure it's filled in. Palette specific attributes, even though they are highlighted with red mark, these two attributes only apply for palette level. So assuming I don't have this palette, I only have each and case, I don't have to put anything for these two attributes here. I can just skip them. Merchandise dimension. Here I want to point it out is the merchandise dimension is the dimension that's going to be used to display your item in the store side. So if your item, so this is for the palette attributes. The palette stackable is asking whether the palette can be stacked to each other. The case of number of case layers is how many case layers on top of that palette. So for merchandise dimension, if you're shipping your item in any of this situation like PDQ tray or cut case, it means when your item is displayed in store, it will be displayed in this format instead of just putting the product outside. So if you're not shipping in any cut case or tray pack, you can just choose no and leave all the merchandise dimension empty, because if you are not shipping any cut case or tray pack, your item will be displayed in the store exactly how you ship it. So the dimension will, if you choose no and leave it empty, the system will copy your packet dimension to here for you, so you don't have to fill in them out. But if you are shipping cut case or tray pack, you need to choose accordingly and make sure you provide the tray pack or the cut case dimension here. And the last part of the supply chain is the sellable unit. So usually your each level is definitely sellable. So it's usually just default Y, and the case level are usually just default no. I think most of the cases, most of the situation, your case level, palette level will not be sellable. So you just choose no for this, and the rest will be populated by system automatically. So the sellable unit is a required one as well. So yeah, basically supply chain enrich is you fill in this, all the information I just mentioned earlier. And then, oh, the save button for enrich item for supply chain is on the far right. So you see the highlighted save button on here. Make sure you fill in the attribute, then click save here. Then you can submit. Any question for enrich item for supply chain? The regular one. I will demonstrate the multi-box one now if no one has any questions. So as we talked earlier, if your item is a multi-box item, you will choose the Y for the first step, and then your item will goes into the enriched multi-box for supply chain. I will find someone. So a lot of time when your multiple box item is goes into this workflow, the first thing you need to do is still to check the the icons, these things on top. Merchandise dimension is the dimension that's used to display in the store. Packet dimension is used to containerize, for containerization. For So for multiple box supply chain, the first thing you need to do is to check here. So we will take the one set of two boxes, in one set and two boxes, for example. So right here, you can see the multiple box pattern is only connected with one box. Usually when you first get in here, there will be no boxes, and you will need to create your boxes by clicking this edit button, then click add box. Then you will be asked to put into the required to put in the G10 of your box and how many boxes are in this set. Like this. So if you put in the correct G10 and quantity, click OK, then your box will be generated. Now, the merchandise dimension, as I said, if you are shipping any PDQ tray or cut case like this, you will need to put in the cut case or tray packs dimension, because the cut case or the tray pack will be displayed on in the store. But if you ship your item like in a box, like just in your shipping cartoon box, let me put that back again. You don't. So if you ship your item just like normally with the box outside without any cut case or tray pack, you can simply leave all this out because they're not highlighted. So if you are not shipping with any cut case or tray pack, you choose no here, leave the rest empty, and the system will copy your package dimension to here. If your product has to assemble. Oh, sorry. So if your product needs to be assembled, because then you don't have to worry about it, because the thing is, you're not shipping with cut case or tray pack, so this should be no. So it will copy your package dimension over, so it will still show the dimension of your box. So when they display your items in the store, usually on the shelf, they will still put your box there. That's why they need it for. They don't need the dimension of the assemble dimension here, because unless they will assemble one, for example, to put in somewhere else in the store, they will do it by themselves, but they don't need the dimension here. The merchandise dimension still, it's like yeah. So you can take it that way. So if your product is just packed with one cartoon layer without any anything for display purpose like this, then you can assume your merchandise dimension is the same as your package dimension. Does that help? Yeah, so another way to go with it is basically, if you go through this question, if this packaging doesn't have any cut case or tray pack, if you choose no, the package dimension will be the same as the merchandise dimension. But if you choose the cut case or the tray pack here, it means you will need to put in the tray or the cut case dimension as the merchandise dimension instead of like the box dimension. So back to the multiple box supply chain. So usually when you get in here, it doesn't have the boxes level. What you need to do first is to add the box. Usually when you ship multiple box for one set, you will have a unique UPC for your box as well. So what I suggest is you just put in the UPC and add 20 in front of it. Then this quantity will be the quantity of how many boxes are in this one set. But here I want to point it out is, in your case, take a patio furniture again, for example, is if I have a set of patio furniture, I have 2 boxes. One box is a chair, one box is table. I will need to create 1 box for the table and 1 box for the chair as well. Does that make sense? Another example is if I have a set of just chairs, but they're come in 2 boxes, but the 2 boxes are the same, I only need to create 1 box level, but the quantity will be 2. Does that make sense? If you put I will just put a random G10.
Chưa mà. Chưa xong mà khi nào xong.
Okay. So, for example, I just created 1 box with 2 quantity. So the number 2 here means each set of this item includes 2 boxes like this. So I think your example might be different because I think your set includes 2 different boxes. So if that case, you will need to choose a box with quantity 1 and create another box with a different UPC, and the quantity also will be 1. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we need different G10s. That's why. Okay, let me. I will need to create a G10 to create. So when you goes in, you need to create the box. That's the first step. Put in your G10, put in quantity, click OK, then you create a box. So depends on, as I was trying to explain earlier, is so this box means they are different from each other. If this example I created means I have a box of maybe tables and 2 boxes of chairs. But if you have just like how do you say, if your set it has 2 boxes, but the 2 boxes are the same thing, they're exactly the same, they're using the same UPC, you will need to create 1 box, but the quantity will be 2. Does that make sense? So if you're different, you will need to create 2 different boxes, and each quantity will be 1. That's the first step. So once you created the boxes you wanted, what you need to do is fill in the same information for each boxes, click on them, and then it will be highlighted. The highlighted are in the darker color. So what you need to input is to, the G10 barcode, UPC, because if you are shipping multiple boxes, your box will have a unique UPC as well. Yes, this is the example where this single sellable item contains 3 boxes. Box A only has 1. Box 2, there are 2 of them. So you can adjust the quantity based on what your product is. So if you have two same boxes, you can only have one box, but the quantity will be 2. But if you have 2 boxes, but they're different, each box quantity will be 1. Is that clear? Okay, I'll move forward. The number 2 here is, okay. The number 2 here is how many this box, this single sellable unit contains. So it's the box quantity. It's not how many items that's in the box. It's how many boxes are in this big set of item. We good? Okay. Moving forward. So once you created boxes, you will need to fill in the information. What you need to do is basically the same as we just talked about. Make sure you fill in G10 for your box level and barcode. The thing different is the UPC is not required for your case level or the pallet level or the PK level unless they're sellable. But the thing is for boxes, they need to have unique UPCs. And then you will need to put your UPC for the boxes here and the UPC for the products here. The product name here, you can add a box 1 or box 2 or with chairs to help you understand which box is which, but it's not required. In your case, you have a set of patio furniture with a table in one box and 2 benches in one box. The box quantity will both be 1 because each kind of box has only 1. It doesn't matter how many items, how many benches, how many tables you have in each boxes. What it matters is how many boxes this set of patio furniture has. Yeah, no worry. Yeah, I think I do know some of you have items like this, so I want to make sure everyone understands so you have less questions when you actually onboard them. So yeah, talked about the product name. So for the boxes, you can add a box 1, box 2, or box with chair to help you understand what's in there. And then you will be, it will be easier for you to understand what the packet dimension for this box is. And so the packet dimension for the boxes will be easier because you just measure the box dimensions and you put in here. The merchandise dimension works the same, so I'm not gonna repeat anything here. Especially for multiple box, I think you can just skip merchandise dimension because they will be the same as your, the boxes. Pallet level, if you do ship your items with pallet, you need to add another pallet level. The same thing, input your G10, input the quantity. Remember here is how many items are on this pallet. So the last thing you need to do is to choose the sellable unit for your boxes level. Usually there are no. The multiple box will be sellable. So yeah, basically this is it for the multiple box light enrich. It's when you fill in the packet, the information is pretty the same. It's the only difference is because when you ship the item, it's in multiple boxes. So when you containerize, instead of using the dimension for one big item, it will use the boxes dimension and how many boxes are there for each sellable item. Okay, so one more thing before we close this enriched item for multiple box supply chain. So a lot of suppliers don't know what to input for the parent OMS ID, which is the set of the item, because they're in 2 or 3 or maybe 4 boxes. What you feel in here is not like a hardcore, like you have to be accurate. What you need to input here is put all the boxes here together. You can add them up, but it's not that accurate. But basically, you are getting a maximum packet dimension out of all the boxes you have for this item, and put the dimensions here. This will not be used for containerization, and it's just the dimension that you can input. You need to input here. Okay. Any question for the enriched label box for supply chain? I mean, if you have any question later, you can still ask about it. So if not, we will move forward. So basically, if you are done with the enriched item or the enriched item for supply chain, or if you are a multi-box item, you are done with the enriched multiple box for supply chain, you submit them out. They will start being reviewed by our internal team. So if your item is a hazmat item, it will appear here, which is the WES certification item. So what you need to, if your item is a hazmat item, you will need to click here to, from now, click this button, go to a third-party website to register your item. But this is all, from here, it's all third-party related, which is not managed by Home Depot. So if you have questions, you will need to contact their support. But if your item isn't, you don't think your item is a hazmat item, but it still comes into this workflow, you can use the dispute function and to submit your item for a dispute review, and our team will decide whether this item should be, there will be manual review to check if your item needs to be registered through WRSS or not. Yeah, if you want to dispute, you need to list your reasons here, why you think your item is not a hazmat item, and leave your contact information. So any questions on that? If not, until this point, so assuming you have completed the first step, which is the PLM import brand item, then you enrich your item for the regular enrich and also the supply chain enrich, and you have submit them out. And they will be reviewed and checked for WSS first, but if they're either it's not a hazmat item or you have complete the registration, they will start the review process. And for the review processes, during the review process time, if anything that you fill in is not accurate or our team find that may have any questions, they will reject it back to your enrich, and you will see. Okay, I'm just gonna show you in the system. So the green ones means you haven't submit them yet. The red one means during review process, they were rejected for certain reasons. And what you need to do for the arrow ones is to go into that item and check why your item were rejected. For example, if we go in the arrow items, under the core attributes within the supplier notes, there is called supplier process notes, and all the reject reasons we will list it here. You will need to check why we reject your item. Is it because your product name didn't follow our naming standard, or your marketing bullets didn't fill enough, or your marketing copy doesn't have 3 complete sentences? All the reasons why we rejected your item will be listed here. And if you are having a hard time understood why we reject it, or you don't understand the notes here, you can let us know and we can help out. So let's assume if everything you filled in is according to requirements, then your item will be approved. Once your item is approved, it will become to existing status, and it will be available for SKU setup, and GOM will be helped to move forward from there. So I just want to bring up several, like a lot of suppliers make the same mistake in the past. A lot of them for product name it's the most common reason why your item is rejected. Whether misspelling or didn't follow standard, or incorrect words, or include something we didn't ask to. Those kind of things might get your item get rejected. The second error is you didn't fill in enough bullets, which we clearly mentioned it earlier. If you don't know how to fill in bullets, check out your data standard for reference. For the digital assets part, please check the category required assets for requirements. So upload all the things that's listed there, then your item will be good. So since we are all new suppliers, I'm not gonna talk about repeat items, but so overall we have showed you what you need to do within IDM. First, I want to check is anyone still have any questions on anything or follow up you want to know more about before we move forward. So for the next probably 10 minutes, I'm just gonna briefly bring up some key points or tips or anything that's kind of special. In case if you fit in that area or fit in that situation, if you need to know more, you can contact me. But I think at this point, you pretty much know how to work your IDM, work on your items within IDM. Okay, if no question, move forward. So first thing we will work on is this is just we keep mentioning up is the containerization. So the packet dimension you input in IDM will be used for the containerization later. So its accuracy, again, the accuracy is really important because if you don't have accurate packet dimension here, your containerization result will be incorrect and you will need to update yes, I will send all the support documents and PP, PowerPoint and PDF files, and also this recording. We have this webinar recorded. I will send you the link and you can go through it again if you want to. And at your own pace or when you work on it, you can kind of like maybe open the video and try to work on while we were talking about it. I'll make sure I send all the documents to you. Okay, so the containerization important, make sure your packet dimension is accurate. That's it. That's all you need to do. Make sure the containerization is accurate. So packet dimension, this is just talked about if it's not accurate or, something is wrong, how to work on, how to contact. This email, you can use this email for any IDM question you have. We will see your request and we will work on it. So mixed SKU, I'm not sure if any of you suppliers here today have this case. So mixed SKU is about when you ship boxes like this, there are more than one SKU. There are 2, 3, 4, 5 SKUs in it. So in this case, what we call this is mixed SKU because when you put the packet dimension in IDM, the packet dimension means for one SKU. So if you have multiple SKU in one boxes, you will need to divide that box into based on how many items and what's the quantity for each items in that box. We have a calculator for that to help you better calculate the dimension, but not every supplier have this kind of situation. So if you do, please let me know, and I will, send you the details, send you the calculator and how do you work on it if you don't know. That's mixed skew. So multiple box, this we have mentioned it before. So if you do ship multiple box, okay, let's go through the quantity again. I want to make sure everyone understood. So we have 3 examples. Christmas tree shipped in 2 boxes, the top and the bottom. Clearly they're different. So you need to have a box created for the top and a box created for the bottom, and they will use 2 different UPCs and 2 different, they will use their own G10s. Table shipped in 3 boxes, 2 legs in 1 box, 2 legs per box, and tabletop is in a separate box. So in this case, the box that's includes that box has the legs. The quantity should be 2, because the box with the legs in it has 2. Each table has 2 of those kind of boxes, and the tabletop is in another box. The quantity should be 1. For the third example, the patio with chairs are shipped in separate boxes. So I think this is what we talked about. So if the table part is good because it's only 1 boxes in the box. The chair part, if you have 2 boxes, each contains 1 chair, the quantity should be 2, because the 2 means each patio set has 2 boxes that contains the chairs. So again, if you're confused or sometimes you really don't know what the quantity should be, you can maybe send us a description or send us a picture or let us know how you ship the product. We can help you identify the quantity. So I think it might be confusing for the new suppliers, but once you work on it a few times, you know what we are trying to do here. So combo bundle here, I'm not gonna go through it too much because I don't think at this time suppliers won't need to create it. But in the future, if you do, we have a training session provided for this kind of thing. And yeah, you can join it if you find it useful. So there is one more thing we want to bring it up, is the perfect PIP, what we also call perfect skew. So as we showed you earlier, so all the information, all the marketing information and a lot of other information will be displayed directly on HomeDepot.com. So if you have better or more detail, the better pictures or anything, it really helps you with the sales and online performance. So we do encourage suppliers to have better and well-populated attributes online. And also it can be a process, and I mean, onboarding sometimes can be a really tight schedule. You want to onboard it first, but later on, all this information can still be updated and managed by suppliers. So you can work with Home Depot team to update your product information on the website, which definitely gonna help. So the WERCS part, so if your items are hazmat item, they are required to go through the registration, and the registration needs to be done with a third party. So, but all that, if you have any questions, you will need to reach out for the third parties because it's managed by their team. But if your item is not a hazmat item, you will not need to go through this process. So yeah, until this point, the training for today is complete. I will send out all the support document and the webinar recording of today to every suppliers here, and I will stay for 5 more minutes for any questions if you have. I'm gonna type my emails here. Oh, I think you already have my email though. I sent you the registration link. So if you have any questions, you are not sure on, or you didn't find it very clear during the webinar, please let me know. Or if you have any other questions. I think one more thing I want to point it out is from our coworkers, I can feel like your project is really tight schedule. The deadline is really tight. So please, I will be your main support for this project. So when you do your IDM, if you have any questions, please just let me know. It's always better just to find out those questions early and solve them and make sure your onboarding process is smooth, because it really affects your ordering and containerization shipment later. So yeah, if you don't complete the IDM, there can't be any shipments, and also there will not be able to place order for you. I will leave 5 more minutes. I will stay on the webinar for any questions you have. But if you don't have any questions, you can leave the webinar now. Okay, looks like we don't have any questions. I will close this webinar now. I will send out the the documents and the webinar recording once it's ready. So yeah, that's it. Thank you all guys. Have a good day.